All right, let's cut right through all the setup noise. Today, I'm going to show you how to get a blazing fast development environment up and running with the new Tailwind CSS version 4 and the Parcel Bundler. We're going to go from a totally empty folder to a live server in just a couple of minutes.
You know that feeling, right? Where you spend more time fighting with Webpack or wrestling with config files than you do actually writing code? It can honestly feel like you need a PhD in configuration just to get a simple hello world up on the screen.
Well, this is the exact problem that Tailwind CSS version 4 is designed to fix. They've reimagined it with this zero config first philosophy. And when you pair it with a bundler like Parcel, the whole setup process basically becomes invisible. Let me show you just how easy it is.
Okay, let's dive right in. The entire foundation for our project really just breaks down into 4 super simple steps to get our tools installed and create the first couple of files. So first, we'll just make a project folder and get Parcel installed. Then we'll pull in the new Tailwind v4. After that, we just have to create 2 tiny files, one that tells Parcel how to talk to Tailwind, and another one to import all of Tailwind styles. That's literally it. So pop open your terminal. After you make your project directory and run npm init, we'll install our dependencies. First, grab Parcel. Then we install Tailwind. Now, pay attention to this second command, because this is where we see the first bit of v4 magic. Notice we're just installing Tailwind CSS and @tailwindcss/postcss. In the old days, you had to manually install postcss and auto-prefixer as peer dependencies. Not anymore. It's all handled for you.
Next up, you're going to create a file named .postcssrc right in your project's root folder. All it needs is this tiny little JSON object inside. This file is the key, the critical link. See, Parcel is specifically designed to look for this exact file name. When it finds it, it automatically knows to run your CSS through whatever plugins you list in here. For us, that's Tailwind. And now for the CSS file itself, go ahead and create a file at src/index.css and just add this single line. Yep, that's all. If you've used v3, you'll remember those 3 separate @Tailwind lines for base, components, and utilities. In v4, this one import just takes care of everything. It is so much cleaner.
Okay, with our tools installed and our files created, it's time for the fun part. Let's bring this project to life and launch the development server.
We need an HTML file so we can actually see our work, right? So create an index.html file inside that src folder. Make sure you link to your CSS file in the head, and then in the body, let's just drop in an h1 tag. Now look at those classes, text-3xl, font bold, text-blue-500. These are just standard Tailwind utility classes that are going to style our text.
To make our lives just a little bit easier, let's open up package.json. Inside that scripts object, go ahead and add this start script. This just creates a handy shortcut so we can type npm start instead of that full Parcel command every single time.
All right, everything is in place. The packages are installed, the config files are written, our HTML is ready to go. You ready to see the magic happen?
Back in your terminal, it's time to run that script we just created. Just type npm start, hit enter, and watch Parcel do its thing.
And just like that, you're live. Parcel will bundle everything up and spit out a URL for you, usually localhost 1234. Open that up in your browser, and you should see a big, bold, blue Hello World. That's proof that Tailwind is fully hooked up and working perfectly.
So, that was incredibly fast, right? But why was it so simple? Let's take a quick peek under the hood to really understand the key improvements in Tailwind v4 that make all this possible.
This table really highlights the biggest simplifications. We've gone from managing multiple dependencies down to a single PostCSS plugin. The CSS file is now just one standard import line, but honestly, the 2 biggest game changers are at the bottom. The config file is now optional, and it auto-detects your content paths. This just eliminates entire chunks of setup work. Let's go back to that postcssrc file. You can think of it as convention over configuration. Because we're using a standard expected file name, Parcel doesn't need to be told what to do. It just finds the file and knows to process our CSS. The whole integration feels automatic.
Now that @import directive is deceptively simple. Behind that one line, the new Tailwind v4 engine is intelligently injecting everything you need: base browser resets, any component styles, and that whole universe of utility classes, all ready for Parcel to process.
And finally, that Parcel command is what orchestrates the whole show. It starts with your HTML,
follows every link and script, finds our CSS file, notices the post-CSRC config, and just seamlessly pipes it all through Tailwind before bundling everything and spinning up that hot reloading dev server. It's the engine that brings all these pieces together.
But maybe the most revolutionary part is what we didn't have to create. There is no tailwind.config.js file. For most basic projects, V4 is now smart enough to automatically find all of your template files. You only need to add a config file when you're ready to actually customize the theme. This is a huge step forward.
So let's just wrap up by taking a look at what we've built. The end result is an incredibly clean and simple project structure that's all ready for you to start building on.
And this is it. This is your entire project structure. Just 2 little config files at the root and a source folder for your actual source code. It's clean, it's minimalist, and it's perfectly organized for you to get started. So there you have it. In just a few minutes and with a handful of commands, you've spun up a modern, powerful front-end development environment. The setup is done, and it's time to focus on what really matters, building amazing things.
Which really brings us to the final question. With all of that complex configuration handled for you, and a seamless dev experience right at your fingertips, what are you going to create first?